Hello everyone, and thank you for tuning into TradeChat. My name's Panzer, and today we are going to be talking about the rogue changes happening in patch 7.0. I hope that you enjoyed this video, and if you do, remember to rate it thumbs up. The fantasy of being a rogue is controlling your opponent and fighting on your own terms. Rogues don't hide in the shadows, they are the shadows. They are opportunistic, bandits, thieves, assassins. Being a rogue means coming out on top, whether it be by blade, poison, or wits. From a gameplay standpoint, rogues have always suffered from a lack of distinction between their specs. Assassin, subtlety, combat. Don't all rogues use stealthy fighting styles to engage in battle? Yes, all rogues. Well, they used to. In Legion, we'll see a bunch of changes to better define and highlight the fantasy of each spec of rogue. As you've likely heard by now, combat has been replaced by the new outlaw spec. Assassination and subtlety are still things in Legion, but hopefully better defined things. All specs of Rogue will notice that Crimson Vial has replaced Recuperate as the baseline healing ability. Unlike Recuperate, Crimson Vial is not a finisher, making it easier to use, plus it heals over 6 seconds rather than 30. For additional healing, Crimson Vial can be enhanced or supplemented by new, spec-specific Tier 45 talents. All 3 specs have been given ranged combo builders: Poisoned Knife for Assassination, Pistol Shot for Outlaw, and Shuriken Toss for Subtlety. The damage on these abilities is relatively low since Blizzard doesn't want to make a ranged rogue spec, but they are great for tagging or rounding up big groups of mobs while out in the world or leveling. The lore of an assassination rogue revolves around taking down your enemy and ensuring that down is where they stay. Assassins stealthily wait for the perfect time to strike. When they attack, the damage can be deceiving until the poison sets in. Once engaged, the target doesn't stand a chance. Their wounds don't heal, there's toxins pulsing through their veins, and they're bleeding out, all while the assassination rogue continues to relentlessly attack them until the job is done. Assassination currently has the most consistently aligned thematic gameplay of any spec of rogue, so most of their 7.0 class changes are just enhancement and polish rather than like an overhaul. The biggest change for them is that Assassination is now the only spec that will have access to poisons and bleeds, reinforcing the fantasy of being the deadliest assailant of all the specs. In addition to this, there have been changes made to emphasize the role of poisons and bleeds. Garrote is now usable out of stealth with a 15-second cooldown, allowing assassination rogues to put up an additional bleed for energy regeneration. It's worth noting that Garrote can still silence if used from stealth. Envenom will remain as the primary assassination finisher. Now keep in mind, poisons are assassination only in Legion, so other specs have been given new sources of slows to compensate for the lack of crippling poison. Dispatch and the blindside proc mechanic have been removed, so Mutilate is the primary combo builder regardless of your target's health. In Legion, Assassination's artifact weapon will be a pair of daggers called the Kingslayers. Combat rogues didn't really have any themes or lore in their gameplay, so Blizzard decided to replace combat with the new spec of Outlaw. And Outlaw Rogue's fantasy is exactly what you thought it was. It's about living outside of the law. They bend the rules and they distort the truth to get exactly what they want out of every situation. Outlaw Rogues are master swordsmen who will never back down from a brawl or a duel, though they are rarely patient enough to actually utilize their stealth abilities. They fight dirty, and they have no qualms bringing a gun to a knife fight. Roll the Bones replaces Slice and Dice as the self-buff finisher for Outlaw. The mechanics for this ability are a little bit complex, but very cool once you understand them. Roll the Bones rolls 6 six-sided dice, where each side corresponds with a different buff. The buffs are as follows. Jolly Roger heals you for 3% of your maximum health every 1 second. Grand Melee is a 40% attack speed buff. Shark-Infested Waters increases your critical strike chance by 40%. True Bearing causes your finishers to reduce the remaining cooldown on many of your abilities by 3 seconds per combo point. Buried Treasure increases energy regeneration by 40%. And finally, Broadsides cause your attacks to generate 1 additional combo point. The player will get the buff or buffs that the most dice land on. This means you can get 1, 2, or 3 of the 6 buffs with each cast of Roll the Bones. The buff's duration will depend on the number of combo points you used. If you prefer the simplicity of Slice and Dice, it is still available as a level 100 talent. Another major change for Outlaw Rogues in 7.0 is the removal of your baseline cooldown mechanic. Previously, Ruthlessness reduced the cooldown of other abilities based on the number of combo points you spent. In Legion, Ruthlessness is a passive which gives your finishing moves a 20% chance per combo point spent to grant a combo point. Several combat abilities have been renamed with a new piratey flair. Sinister Strike is now Saber Slash. Eviscerate is now run through and it can be used from beyond melee range. Kidney Shot is now between the eyes, which can also be used at range and deals a pretty hefty amount of damage, especially if it crits. And Evasion is now Riposte, where each parry now deals damage. A couple final notes before we wrap up Outlaw. Bandit's Guile has been removed from the Outlaw spec, and the loved and hated Killing Spree is now a talent rather than a baseline cooldown. In Legion, Outlaw's artifact weapons will be the Dreadblades, a pair of cursed cutlasses. The fantasy of a subtlety rogue is being the master of shadows and undetected strikes. They don't use poison daggers like assassins or filthy brawn like combat. Instead, they patiently wait, hiding in plain sight. And when the moment comes, they unleash a devastating assault on their enemies. And then they slip into the shadows, completely undetected. The only evidence that a subtlety rogue was even there is the trail of bodies that they left behind.
Boy, that escalated quickly.
Shadow Dance has been changed to a shorter 3-charge cooldown, allowing regular short bursts of stealth. Additionally, the new Deepening Shadows mechanic, which reduces Shadow Dance's cooldown on finishers, allows subtlety rogues to enter stealth much more often. When using Shadow Dance, subtlety rogues have 2 new openers at their disposal. Shadow Strike is like Ambush, but better because it comes with a built-in Shadow Step to quickly jump onto the target, and Symbols of Death is an opener that increases all damage done and does not break stealth when used. Backstab will remain as the primary out-of-stealth combo builder for subtlety. However, now it can be used from any angle with bonus damage when used from behind.
Giggity, giggity, giggity.
If you don't like positional requirements, check out the tier 15 talent called Gloomblade. Shadow Blades is back as a subtlety-only cooldown. It increases combo point generation and your auto-attack damage. Like Outlaw, several subtlety abilities have been renamed to better match the spec. Rupture is now Nightblade. Fan of Knives is now Shuriken Storm, which deals more damage when used from Stealth or Shadow Dance, and Honor Among Thieves has been replaced by Shadow Techniques, so you don't need to be in a group to have full combo point generation. In Legion, Subtlety's artifact weapons are a pair of daggers called Fangs of the Devourer. To recap everything that we just talked about, most of the class changes for rogues in Legion were done to further reinforce the fantasy of what it is to be a rogue and to define each spec of rogue a little bit better. Combat is no longer a thing. It's been replaced by Outlaw, which is like combat but piratey. Arg, mateys. Assassination is the only spec that can use poisons and bleeds because that's what they do. Back to Outlaw, they're going to have longer cooldowns now because Ruthlessness has been changed. It's not the same anymore. And subtlety rogues are still subtle. No change. Let me know in the comment section below if you play a rogue and what you think about these changes. Are you going to be an assassin? Are you going to be a subtle rogue? Or are you going to be a pirate? Arg, mateys! I'm sorry. I can't talk about pirates without doing a really bad arg, mateys. It's not funny. Let me know if you play a rogue and what you think about these changes. I would really like to know. Tomorrow's video is either going to be warriors or shamans. I'm not sure. It just is going to depend on which write-up notes I finish first. Roll the bones, am I right? Roll the bones. I'm gonna go. I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please thumb it up. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Have a wonderful weekend. I'm gonna go. I love you all. You're in my hearts. I'll see you soon. Goodbye, goodbye, goodbye. In other news, so to increase, ouch, I just hit my, it's because they're assassins and that's what they do, I guess. All rogues will use Crimson Vial now to heal. And that's it. That's all, folks. Combat rogues are now outlaw rogues because pirates, they decided to make them just plunderers, because why not make them plunderers? And to make up for this, combat rogues, and no, combat isn't a thing, their individual specs and reinforce the fantasy of their, no, Tychus, stop doing that. And then assassination rogues are the only,